Hello there, I'm Big Alias, and yes, this is Modern Warfare. I'm having such a great time with this game, man. I was chilling playing this game with some Outcasts, some 90s Outcast Atlians style, playing this game and just chilling. I don't know what I prefer. I don't know if I prefer Outcast or Kendrick Lamar, it's two completely different flavors, but man, I always have a huge smile on my face with Outcast. But Kendrick Lamar's more of a sort of serious artiste when it comes to that sort of, I'm not talking about the game whatsoever, but man, it's been cool. I've been having a great time with it. It's so weird to be playing a Call of Duty game with the same sort of approach that I've been having to Call of Duty games. Well, I used to have the Call of Duty games back in the day where, I just sort of boot it up and have a good time and chill out and play it. And oh my god! And consequently, I got to level 55 within just over a week. I mean, it's just been super fun. Just poning the noobs with my M4 noob poner, Doomslayer Kilmatron 4659. But I do want to talk about something in this video, and it is about this game. I want to talk about this game, and I will get to more sort of normal, serious topics. I do want to talk about sort of more philosophical stuff and things like that that I used to talk about, and that I was heading on the path to talking about again. Unfortunately, this thing is just really, sort of clash with my mind, and I really want to talk about it. And it is about this game. And unfortunately, with the first few weeks and even first few months of a game, you kind of have to talk about it and dissect it and get into exactly what sort of makes the game tick and makes the player base tick. And unfortunately, there's one thing that keeps recurring with this game. And if you watch my previous video, then you'll know that I'm about to counteract with this notion that is spreading across the internet. And that's, of course, that this game sort of has a big issue, a big problem, which sort of stems from the same sort of thing. And that's what I want to get into, because I'm kind of annoyed. I'm kind of pissed at the way in which this community has responded to this game. And not just because I'm annoyed that people don't like the game, and that people have an issue with the game. I have issues with the game. I said previously that I hit level 55, and right now I'm kind of struggling with what to do now, because there are 100. They ask you to hit 100 more levels in order to unlock all of the challenges. And it takes long enough to get to 55, and they want you to do this every season and do every challenge every season. It just feels like work at that point. They are asking so much of you just to do what is in essence the same as prestiging in the past over a decade. And I feel as though having something where I can't come away from it with something tangible, it just sucks, man. It's terrible. So if I go into the game and I play, for a few hours, and then it just gets reset and I've missed on this season's emblem, then, that sucks and I don't like it. So there are things that I don't like about the game. However, there's this notion of, the maps and campers and time to kill and things like that. And the reason I'm annoyed with that is because the thought, the kind of argument behind it, it's not really. It's hard to explain. I don't like Activision. I don't like the way that they're controlling their studios, and I don't like a lot of the decisions that Infinity Ward have made in the past. However, I'm not going to pin this on them. This isn't them. And there's a lot of complaints, geared towards they've screwed up, they've made big mistakes, because now there are way too many campers and everybody's camping in the game, and I can't move, which I think is a crazy thing to say, because for the past decade or so, we've all been complaining about this one big issue, well, these few big issues, which is, with Black Ops 4, the time ticker was way too high. With, the games of several years since, I guess you could say, Black Ops 1, maybe Modern Warfare 3 at a stretch, just haven't been tactical enough. There's been no thought involved in exactly how you do things, and there had been this huge revolt, this huge anger, this further just aimed towards Infinity Ward, Activision, Sledgehammer, and Treyarch about how they're approaching the pacing of the multiplayer, which of course, as I said in my previous video, led to the big combination of Black Ops 4, which was every speed orientated decision all bundled into one. And of course, with this game, they've retracted back with that and gone for a more tactical approach, which is exactly what we asked for. They went for, it's sort of almost in every aspect. They brought back the campaign, they gave us Spec Ops, they gave us a modern setting and a more tactical gameplay. And we didn't like the ridiculously slow time to kill in Black Ops 4. I didn't, and I know a lot of other people didn't. We didn't like that. So they gave us a faster time to kill. Exactly what people said. There were people saying, I want the fastest time to kill in Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 2 wasn't even isn't enough for me. I want the fastest time to kill imaginable. And with all of that, all of that fixing that they've done, people are still complaining. And I understand that the big maps and the fast time to kill has led to camping, and I totally agree with that. And I'm also not defending camping. I find it extremely frustrating myself. I think it's annoying. It bugs me. Though at the same time, I am able to camp. If I wanted to camp, I would. And I understand, I will get further into this, but camping it's something that you can do. I'm not saying, it's a legitimate strategy or something like that, but if it was just something that certain people could do, people from North America could do it, but people from Europe couldn't, or people with the special edition could do it, but people with the standard couldn't, then yes, that would be a huge issue. But it's an approach that we can all take. People just get annoyed because people aren't playing in the same way that other people are playing, and that bugs them. And I think that's definitely a strand of sort of the mentality, particularly nowadays in 2019, where there's just this annoyance with people who do things differently to how we do them. And I think that's sort of the backdrop of society nowadays. But to draw it back to Call of Duty, the camping is there, and it's a thing, and it's true, and that's absolutely right. However, if you want more tactical gameplay, unfortunately, you need bigger maps. You can't have tactical gameplay in small. It is near impossible, particularly with a gameplay system like Black Ops 4 that was so fast. There's no way to plan. There's nowhere to go where you can plan with other people. There's no thought that can go into going into a place unless the map is large. A lot of people forget that a lot of Modern Warfare 2, a lot of its maps were huge. They were big maps, and obviously there were some smaller ones to counteract it, as there are with Modern Warfare. But there were some very large maps. That's because in order to have a gameplay that requires strategy, it has to be big. There has to be areas for you to think about, rather than just these horrible laned maps that we had previously. Going hand in hand in that is the notion of a faster time to kill. Now, this is again something people were asking for anyway, but you need a faster time to kill if you're going to have a more tactical gameplay, because busting in through a door and breaching a door or checking your corners, unless you can drop people immediately with your gunfire, then it's not tactical. I mean, if you creep into a house and then the people can just run off after getting shot, with half a mag, that's not tactical gameplay, and that's not what people were asking for. People wanted essentially what was the opposite of Black Ops 4, and that's what we got. And that's why I'm annoyed with the way in which people are responding, because again, it is annoying, when there are campers, and it is annoying, I guess, when you get dropped after getting shot once or twice. Yes, I get that, but it's what we asked for, and there is no way to fix that. There are lots of people saying that they're going to bring in updates, they're going to fix the maps, they're going to sort it out. They're not. This isn't going to happen, because the objective that they set out with, which was to make a game that people asked for, that objective has to be handled in the way that it had been. There is no way to fix that. You can't make the map smaller. They're not going to make the map smaller. They might release future maps as free DLC, as they're going to be, with smaller maps. That could well happen, that's absolutely true. But there's nothing they can do with the maps in the base game. They're not going to change the time to kill, because if they did, people would complain anyway. And again, it's a tactical approach to Call of Duty. None of these things are going to change. They might nerf a few weapons here or there, but you're not going to notice any difference. Campers are still going to exist. It's still going to happen. It's still going to be annoying. I get it. I know that. But at the same time, it's still going to be an approach that any of us can take. Let's not forget, Call of Duty is a goddamn arena shooter. It's an arena shooter simulation, battle simulation, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Preservation is the goal. Self-preservation is the point, and I guess team preservation is the point of Call of Duty. Keeping yourself alive is why people play the game. Keep yourself alive and you get kills. That is why people play Call of Duty. And that's why people camp, because they have, this is what they do. This is how you stay alive. You look after yourself. My approach to Call of Duty, I do rush, but I sometimes hunker down in an area. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to run out into the middle of the arena. I'm not going to rush a room that I know has 5 people in it, because I know I'll die. And that's where you get into this grey area of, what even is camping? Is sticking to one area camping? Is just sitting camping. If I run over to an area after rushing for 2 minutes and stay there for 30 seconds because I know someone's going to peek their head around the corner, am I camping or am I just trying to stay alive? It's a very grey area, and I understand again that it is frustrating, but it's part of a more tactical based Call of Duty. If you want, which people have been begging for years, if you want a tactical Call of Duty, if you want something that's more thoroughbred, it's going to be this way. They are just responding to what we wanted. Again, there are things that I really don't like about the game, but this is not one of them. I mean, it's frustrating, but it's part of the cause. It's what has to come. It goes hand in hand with the Call of Duty that we have now, and I understand that, and I think other people should understand that too. Is that the alternative is so much worse. It's what we had for the previous few years. The opposite to having large maps is 3-lane maps. The opposite to a fast time to kill is an incredibly slow time to kill. The opposite to not giving people an ability to preserve themselves and stay alive is that people just stop playing the game. People get frustrated. It's so ironic, people complaining about how people were dropping off of Call of Duty in previous years when they did things like introduce 3-lane maps and prevent camping by doing that. And now they're saying that the multiplayer is worse than it's ever been. Well, people will stick around now because they know that these games aren't going to be one-sided. I'm sorry you can't dominate. I'm sorry that I can't dominate. I'm sorry that it frustrates you that you can't get these insane kill-to-death ratios. But it's better for everyone. I mean, it creates a better environment for everyone, and other people are allowed to stay alive during your shenanigans. I'm sorry that you can't read the exact depth of where someone is going to be due to the 3-lane maps. You're going to have to think on your feet. I'm sorry that you have to do that, but that's how it's going to be. This isn't the worst Modern Warfare multiplayer experience as I've been reading it is in the comments. It's old school Call of Duty. It's what you've been asking for. For years we've been asking for old school Call of Duty. This is what it used to be. Modern Warfare 3 was known for its campers. It was insane. It was full of campers. It was so full to the brim with campers and snipers, intervention, people hitting trick shots, people waiting in the corner, one-man army, noob tubes. It had all of that. You know why it had all of that? Because it had all of the good stuff too. It had the fast time to kill, and it had non-3-lane maps. So it was a great game that had a great deal of faults, lasted the whole year. People consider it a masterpiece. People love it. People say that we need to go back to those days. We need Call of Duty to be like that again. That comes with it. I mean, that is part of it. Campers are part of old school Call of Duty. They are giving us what we wanted, and with what we wanted comes that's part of it. They are just responding to us, and again, I'm the last person to defend any company even affiliated with Activision, but they are responding to what we asked for. When you come back at someone giving you what you wanted and say, this isn't what I wanted, no, you're full of shit. I mean, you're just complaining. You're just complaining about something that you asked for. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And obviously, it's YouTubers. There's a lot of YouTubers that I've seen who have been, these very YouTubers who have been begging for an old school Call of Duty experience, who have been saying they want to boycott the franchise and not play the games and then buy the games anyway and all the DLC. But they say, they don't want to play Call of Duty anymore because it's not that old school experience. And then when they get it, they complain about the things that used to be in the old school experience. And obviously, I think it comes down to a few reasons. It boils down to a few reasons with these YouTubers, which is either they, despite playing thousands of those older games and completely involved in those older games, somehow forgot that this is what comes with those games. It could be the case. I think it's not overly likely, but maybe they did just forget that this was a part of it, and that it just comes as a surprise, and they genuinely think that these problems can be fixed, or they're just responding to what their audience wants them to do. Their audience is annoyed, and they feel as though they should be annoyed in order to keep them on side. I mean, that's unfortunately again part of the cause when it comes to YouTubers. You do have to think about what your audience wants you to say, even if it sort of overrides what you actually do feel as though you should be saying. And lastly, and I think this is the most cynical, but potentially the most accurate, is that unfortunately negativity in the gaming industry right now, gaming environment right now, is a selling point. It's very hot. it's what people are doing, and it's what pulls in the views. I mean, Jim Sterling talks about this a lot, how if you post a positive review for something, you're much less likely to whip up a further and get people talking, and your video isn't going to succeed as well as it would if it were a rant video, because that's what people have, particularly with Call of Duty YouTubers, that's what people have come to expect nowadays. And again, that's very cynical, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. These people have thousands of hours, as I said, in Call of Duty in the past, and now they're coming back with the game that they have been given in response to everything they've asked for, and they're still complaining, and they're getting a ton of views. And the issue with that is that it really fogs up the community. It gets them their flats, and it helps them eat that night because they got 50,000 more views than they would have. But honestly, it really, with regards to the gaming community, it just fogs things up because people start saying things that they feel as though they should say, and they get annoyed because they feel as though they should be annoyed by this topic. But again, it's an extremely cynical viewpoint. But I mean, look, these are the guys who, earlier this year, when we found out that some reporters had been invited to watch some campaign gameplay to give their opinions, and then gave their opinions, and their opinions were that it might be a little too controversial and too on the nose and too rough, these YouTubers went nuts. They went crazy, started complaining about how you shouldn't take away someone's ability to be creative. Like, why do you want to constantly censor things? People should be able to make whatever games they want. You're taking away their creative ability. And these were the exact YouTubers who that time last year were boycotting Battlefield 5 because they put a woman in the game. They're telling people that no, stop being stupid journalists. We want creative freedom. They should be able to make whatever they want creatively, and screw you, journos. And also boycott Battlefield 5 because they were doing what they wanted with the game. It's ridiculous. But I mean, honestly, the moral of the story is with this is that a lot of people in the gaming community particularly like to get mad at the media, quote unquote, the media and the press and journalism. And this is totally separate from paparazzi, who can go fuck themselves. But when it comes to journalism, and they like to shine a torch on journalism and talk about how it's such a bad thing. However, these are journalists. I mean, there's so much hypocrisy in this when you're complaining about what journalism is doing and how it's coercing people and affecting people and changing their minds, and you're doing that in a video whilst critiquing something and giving your opinion to an audience of people who are ready to be coerced, who are ready to have your opinion imparted on them. And I just think it's hugely hypocritical. These are journalists. These people who just, they're constantly complaining about journalism being about clickbaiting and being about tackling what's hot, and screwing integrity and not being not applying integrity to what you're doing in order for views and for clickbait, and then posting a video like EA totally falls under because they lost 0.1% of a percent in the stock market. This company's going down, and there's a circle here and a circle here and an arrow, and it's just, you are that. I mean, you're that guy. And obviously there's a very, very grey line between internet journalism and, regular journalism. And it's easy to complain about journalism when it's not saying what you want it to say. But you bear in mind that the alternative is independent journalism, which is not a good thing. I would rather receive information from someone who has a degree in research, in integrity, even if they're not using it. I'd like the potential for that to be applied, rather than someone who is doing exactly the same and complaining about the thing that they're doing. I hate clickbait in my video where I talk about hell freezing over because there was someone sold me a gun in Call of Duty. That's how it is. Unfortunately, that's the way the internet works. I think there's an inclination to trust someone who is telling you something in a very confident and factual way, who doesn't have a company behind them. But ultimately, you have to remember that, company or not, they're still people. They're still people in the front of these companies, and they're doing their own thing. There's no one to regulate these people, and ultimately, it would be better if there was. Anyway, so that's my rant on that, and hopefully next week I can get to talking about normal stuff and stop talking about this game. It's great. Ultimately, bottom line is it's still a great game. With its huge flaws, I really don't know how much more I can deal with this ranking system. I genuinely just hugely dislike that, but it's good. It's a good game. I guess I guess I'll see you later.